Mic. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Hello. Test. Okay. All right. Okay. I wanted to just do a short video on the V2 E3 errors, which is a drum error. This occurs when you plug in, you're roasting, and all of a sudden the drum stops spinning, or a code pops up that says E3 error. In that case, the E3 error, it just means that it's pretty much an overvoltage it's detecting, or overcurrent, I should say, that it's detecting, and that just really means that there's too much current going to the drum, so it kind of stops that and it prevents it from frying the board. That's all the E3 does. E3 overcurrent. It just detects if there's too much current. If there's too much current, then it'll just automatically stop whatever you're doing, and it just prevents you from destroying your roaster. So it's most of the time it's either because of it's a being stuck, and then other times it might just be a melted gear, or a jammed drum because of bearings or something like that. So we'll open it up. I kind of show you what it looks like, and I'll show you how to install the drum motor in as well. So we got a fresh little drum motor. This drum motor is not broken, but we're just gonna pretend like it is. So you'll order one from iTop, and they'll usually send you something like this, where it already has the connector. This just tells you it's a DC24 82 revolutions, produced 2/19/2025. So now you know that's the latest and updated one. So let's go here. So what we'll do is we have a V2 here. What I'll normally do is I'll probably pop out the front. So there's 4 screws that you usually pull off in the front. One, two, three, 4. And they're just regular Phillips screws. And you can just pull this out. The next one you'll do is you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexes. I think they're like M4 hexes or something. It doesn't, oh, H3. They call them H3 on here. So H3, there's a few hexes in here. What I like to do now is open this drum up. Our drum, the bean cooling tray, just so I could drop those screws in there. We'll pop these 6 screws out. Okay, you can pop that out. You can lean that forward a little bit. Get all the screws out. I'll probably pull this out, and this, the only reason why it's attached is because I haven't unscrewed it from the bottom bean chute. So you could go counterclockwise, open it up, and you can pull this whole back unit off, or front unit off. Okay, so we got the drum. You just want to inspect that there's no beans at the side that's being held up, or there's any kind of beans over here. when you have that code. You do a little inspection as well. Clean out the chaff while you're at it. And another thing you could do is if you have one of these little blowers, I highly recommend getting one just for cleaning, like 20 bucks. Get one of these started off, and I usually just do a little blowing inside. Blow out all the chaff in there. So I'm just gonna leave all these screws in here, and I'm gonna put that back in there. So we notice, you know, maybe you took the beans out, and if there's no beans there, it's all clear, and you're wondering why it's still not moving well, an E3 error is still there, then you could put this back. We'll screw this in later. There's wires in the back. I want to make sure I guide them back in. Don't leave any of the wires out at the side, otherwise they'll cut off. You'll get squished. You know, basically you'll ruin it. I'm gonna keep that off. I'm just gonna keep one screw in just to hold the front. No, it's not in all the way. I just wanted a little bit of a holder in there. Okay, next thing you want to do is open up the back. Probably best to unplug the unit. Unplug the wrong thing. Now, if you have to replace the motor, you're gonna have to take out all these screws, and I'll show you which ones you need to take off. All right, so you're gonna take off. I already took most of these off. I don't leave them on, but we're gonna have to take off usually these screws, 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side, 4 and 4. And one thing you want to do right away when this unit is out is you want to like have a little bit more play. You can always pull this port out just so you can move the back panel a little bit further back. What we'll pull this off. And you could just pull these 2 screws off at the side, loosen these 2, and then it should just come off like that. Want to make sure you take these ones out. And you want to take these ones out. Pop these ones off. And you want to pop these ones off. This one out. And then there's 2 at the bottom you want to take out as well. Loosen up these 2 so you don't have to pull them off, and you can just kind of gently move that to the side out of the way. All right, and then I got these 4 left, so you want to get all 4 of those out, 4 of those, all the 4 of those on that side. Pull these 2 at the top out. Okay. And voila. We take this out, and we'll just give us some room right here, okay? So just you kind of want to open it out like that. All right, so here's the drum. There's a little plate for it right there. So we'll pull it out. And if you ever lose these are like M4s. just like I did right there. Oh shit, I don't know where that one went. Anyways. Oh, you could pull that off. Good. And then you have 4 screws here that you want to take off. So basically you would take those 4 out, but then you still have to pull the connector out from the controller board. So you're gonna have to take off these 2 screws. The smaller one, not the big ones. Those ones hold the fan in. The smaller ones at the side right here. And then this one will open up that controller board up. This is why I popped off that black thing, so I can just bring it out like this. Gotta be a little bit mindful of the fan on here. I might pull the fan out too. But there's a little bit of a tug. So there's 2 screws, kind of bigger ones that hold in the fan in place. I'll pull those off. And you kind of have like full access. Hang that out on its side. And you're really just looking for what connects to here. So it's going to be the only 4-wire connection in here. And it's all the way in the back. So what you want to do is you want to pull this board out by holding onto the heatsink. And then kind of just going back and forth like that. And then you want to just try to pull it out gently. Don't try to pull it out hard. Good. And then we'll look in closer. Right there where you see the yellow, the blue 4-pin connector, yellow, blue, black, and red. It's that little middle one right here. That connector right there. So you got this is the 24-volt connector that connects to the power supply. You want to look at this one over to the right of it. So this connector right here is basically that connector that goes from here connected to the motor. So yeah, the one in the far back. Right in the center, yeah. That's the connector you want to just pretty much pull back on that little part right here connector, and then just pull it, or press it together and then pull up. Connector right there. You just pull it up, pull it out, and then you just remove it from the back. And then, yeah, then you would just swap that motor with the other motor. Okay. So anyways, so once you connect those two together, you know, you want to put the board back in. Once you do the swap. There. Okay. With this motor, you would just take out 1, 2, 3, and 4 of those screws, take them off, And you pretty much just swap it in like this. Make sure they're facing the same orientation. Just note what it looks like. So then you just swap these two. And then you would put the motor back in, right? The biggest thing you want to check out before is also how well the drum is spinning. So drum should spin somewhat like that. There shouldn't be any wiggle on the drum. And it should spin freely to an extent. It's okay if it doesn't spin all the way as long as it's like smooth and there's nothing holding it back and there's no real resistance against it. And you don't need to hear any weird crunching, or another big one is any really bad leaking. If you do need to tighten it, you need to get a special spanner tool, but you also could 3D print out one of the tools, one of these out, and it's not going to cost you 20 bucks. You just have your friend print you out one in PLA, and then yeah, you would just put this in here. It should be good to go. They do add some grease here. I have no idea what kind of grease it is, but if you were wanted to grease your bearings up or anything like that, I'd have to recommend you get like certain greases. There's like True Grease. Krytox is one I use that I got off of Amazon. Really expensive stuff, but it's good if you want to just add some lubrication to the bearings if you feel that they're dry. Then you also could use some people say you could use super lube, but a lot of people are weird about Teflon. It's the super lube that you can use, and I think I have a link somewhere. It's indirect food contact safe. It's actually certified HS1 or something like that. So are the other greases as well, but they're a lot cheaper and easier to get a hold of. But I still would probably recommend Krytox. Really expensive stuff, but I think it's worth it if you need to re-grease. Or there's another one called FG 1200, which is really good, and I think it's direct food contact safe. And what is the other grease? True Grease AP2. True Grease AP2 is another grease you can use, and you can pick that up at Mill City Coffee Roasters. Anyways, I'm gonna clean out this area. There's a lot of chaff, so make sure to clean all that out. Okay, so all right, let's just say we replaced the motor. We tightened it up on here, and if you do mess up like one of these screws, because they do get soft sometimes, and you kind of stripped them out, you can always pick up some M3s on Amazon or McMaster Car if you want to. You could get them in stainless steel, I think. Anyways, I'm going to put these back together. So this is a 8mm double cut shaft, and you want to just slot it into here, which is like the interface. So we'll go into here, put that together. Try your best to make sure it's lined up in the middle. Leave them loose at first. Want to leave them loose. Good. Really important that you make sure you get that ground wire connected to here and you tighten it up. That's a lot just for safety. All right, let's go ahead and put these back on. part kind of sucks because there's not that much wiggle room. I'm just gonna put it in lightly. I don't want to cross thread. I'll put the second one on. What I'm doing, I'm just trying to hold the fan up into the spot, and I'll just tighten it up when I get it seated in correctly. All right, and then you're basically just lining up the back case with these holes in the back. Like that. So you just want to line up those holes like that right there. You want to line up with here. And then you want to line up this hole. Don't put it in, tighten it all the way. Leave it loose so when you're done at the end, you can tighten it up to where everything's in place. There. There. Before you really tighten it up, make sure you just line up these holes correctly. So I'll put that in kind of like loosely, and I'll just make sure, I want to make sure those two USB ports are reachable. And they're in the right spot. So I'll usually try to just put it into place, or better yet, what you could do, so you could prevent it from moving, is putting this in place. Using that to kind of hold it gently. These have been known to break, so then just tightening them up by hand, going back and forth on each until everything kind of lines up nicely. Okay. All right, so that's all in. That's all in. It's plugged in. We'll pull that out. I am missing that screw. I will probably put that back on later. For the sake of time, I'll just have to get a magnet and start roaming around my garage. Anyways, all right, let's put the backing back on. So that goes on like this. I also want to make note, because I'll probably do a video on upgrading to the same motor for a V1. This is a 30 by 20 fan. They had to chop off a little bit on this side so it could fit and is able to cool off this drum. I'll try to find a way to get the same kind of fan set up, but we'll see. Yeah, just in case you wanted to know, if you need to replace it, that's a 30 by 20 fan, 24 volt. All right, so we'll put this back together. We'll make sure there's no wires being crimped up or anything. All right, I'm gonna put this back together. Now, gotta make sure, I like to put these in first because those are like the special ones. You don't want to lose them. So we'll put this back in. I like to leave everything loose until I tighten everything, all of them in at the same time. I like to get this top one in because this is the one that lines up with the exhaust tube. You want to make sure that those are kind of lined up well. You can bring it to the edge and kind of just adjust it until you'll feel like a little bit of a click, because there's like two little holes. They're just kind of got like they kind of fit together, like the tube goes into this little hole right in here, and they kind of mate a little bit. You'll kind of feel it. You'll feel like it move around and it'll kind of dip in, and that's when you know that you got that in there. And you also could use the hole in the middle to kind of make sure you could see like light through her. That means it's lined up with the tube, lined up with the exhaust tube. And if you're curious, the exhaust tube is stainless steel and very, very, very hard to drill with a hand drill. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll put the top exhaust thing on. Actually, I want to put the lower ones on, but I always forget to put these back on all the time. So this one, you could, remember I told you to leave those two there, leave them loose, so you could just slide them back in. And then I'm going to tighten them just to kind of hold them in place a little bit. Put this back in. Same deal. Those two are left loose. I'll screw these in. Okay. And then you could put, I only put these two back on and I leave these four out. That's a personal preference. So I think I dropped one of the screws on the floor. I'll pick it up later. I know. Was there there? No, not there. You'll put all those screws back into place, and then you're gonna make sure to put this black one back on. And all it is just it goes over this cord like so. And then you just squish them together, and then you push them in. You just push that back in, and that's how it goes in. And then really, if you just need to pull it out, just pull it out like that. Comes off like that. And you could put it in real easily, just here. Push him. And push. Okay. I'll be good. I'm going to put this screw back on and another one at the bottom. Good. And then the last one. And actually, I think it's kind of important that you make sure you screw these bottom ones in as well, because this area is known to like leak oil from like the beans. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those screws in here you want to tighten up. Don't have to be a super dead, like super tight grip, but you want to make sure it's in there. Try to minimize if there are any gaps if you can. And the 2 in here. And then 2 down here. There's 1 in there, and there's 1 down here. Okay, right. Now let's put the front back in. Switching out of the Phillips into my hex. H3 hex is what they called it. Came right out. And then we're going to put these 6 screws back in. Make sure to put this back in. Right now it's being held by this. So I'm going to put the top one on first. And don't have to make it super tight either. Actually, if you do it really, really tight, it'll rub up against the drum. Sometimes, depends. Oops. Right, then I'll even put the front cover on. I'm not a huge fan of the front cover, but I'm not a fan of it. I just don't even know where it's at. Oh, it's still V2. So we'll put that front panel on whenever I find it again. Oh, there it is. So yeah, I think one guy said like they have better metal on it. It's literally because they, compared to the V1, it's not. It's because this panel has a thicker stainless steel front. It's basically the same body as a V1. Okay, you got these 4 screws. You'll put them back in here. You can take your controller out and you could start plugging it in to see if it works. I'm just going to plug this in the back. Should hear the fan go on. All right, so we'll be a little bit different today. I got my iPad. I just completed a little software update on it. And this is the V2, so we're gonna roast with iPad with it. And those who have a V2 are probably wondering how. And we are going to do it a different way. We are going to use a ESP32S3, and I'm going to connect the top port here. I'm going to connect this one to the bottom for power. We're gonna try connecting it, okay? So let me get my mouse. Skip. Sorry, it's telling me to install all this crap I don't need. Get your server up and running. Right. Go to window. I think they added on this one. Nope. So we'll do Skywalker, comms. Good. Working. And let's see, this is just in the beta. So what I can do is enable ET support if you really want your ET. But right now, it's pretty much in control. That works. I turn the drum on and off. And keep it on. Fan works, and then heater works. Cool. All right. I'm gonna let this warm up a bit. Kind of running really slow. Okay. Wonder if I could still do the change in settings like this. Yep. Cool, it still works. So I had set on 100. I'm gonna set it to one of my usual settings is drum 75. Cool. Yay, it works. Really appreciate this video. Would love to see my Kaleido M1 from my I'm actually, so this setup will actually work with the M1 Lite. I have all the commands to run it. I just don't have the time to put it into ESP32S3 yet. I'm gonna try to make some time to get those in there, but it'd be the same kind of setup. You would get an ESP32S3. You would get this. You just got to get the special connector, and you maybe have to like connect it to a special 5-volt power brick, and on one side, and the other side connected to the Kaleido M1 Lite, and it works the same way. It would just pretends like it's BLE, or it doesn't pretend. It actually acts like BLE. It just pretends like it's a direct connection. I mean, it's been like, I don't know how many years they could have fixed this problem, but that's Kaleido's issue. They don't want to use BLE, so. which Bluetooth is just as fine. But once I get more time, I literally, the biggest hurdle for me is I'm switching out of Arduino IDE and trying to do all my programming through VS Code and Platformio, and it's just, it's getting all the things set up, and I want to make sure I'm following all the developers like environment, so I don't know, so we could transfer code back and forth and make sure it worked properly. But like with everything else, it's a pain, and it requires a lot of time, work, and dedication. Well, there's another, well, I'll probably be doing a lot more videos too, because the M2 Lite is was recently leaked, I guess. So one of the things I'll be doing is I'll be trying to get that. I'll be getting that one for sure. Oh, let me get this back up. All right, so this is all working off BLE. This is on my iPad. I'm very happy right now. It's very clean. We'll keep it like that. I gotta mess with my settings to make sure it doesn't do that, but we'll go to device. We'll make sure that it's roasting fine. We'll start the manual roast. All right, 162, 132, everything's working. This version of High Beam isn't out yet because we're not, well, not this version, but the version that has the V2 BLE connection is not out yet. Maybe on the next release. We're still testing it. I actually have a new firmware I have to test from there, so that'll be the next thing I got to test on. But anyways, while this is heating up, make sure that's okay. A little bit. There's like a little bump I have to like. Yeah, M2 Lite's coming out. I asked like the Chinese side. They said soon. So I don't know what soon is to them, but probably sometime this year it's gonna come out. Maybe beginning of summer. That'd be a nice time to release it, but who knows. We'll let that warm up a bit. Oh, there's somebody, I got 3D print something too, because somebody on the M1 Lite has like this exhaust thing I want to play with. We're gonna let this warm up. So with the V2, it's a radiant heat roaster, so it doesn't roast the same as a M1. M1 is convection heat, so from what I've gathered is a plateau within the ROR works a little bit better with these roasters than a declining ROR. But also declining ROR tasted just fine with some of the roasts I've had, so. So let's see. I'm gonna try this Milan. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna try to do an auto roast.
Roasting will start after charge. Preheat flow. Auto heating to 162.0 degrees Celsius.
Oh, like an inline booster? I think I got some expensive one. I have an Airwave. I have this overkill thing for my exhaust. Let me this a little bit. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. So the PID probably doesn't work on this. Let me go get my my Airwave set up. Okay, so while that's heating up, that's 60%. Oh, I'm bringing it up to 80. Kind of warm it up a little bit faster. I'm gonna get my where did I put my my beans at? That's a Guatemala geisha. Here it is. Finca Milan Nitrocatura. I swear, I'm gonna keep my stuff together one day. Keep moving my stuff. So I'm gonna feather this back and forth at 165. There it is. So I'm trying out this light roast method that Val came up with. It's not necessarily the best way to roast light roast, but I've been enjoying it. So I guess it's best for me. You know what? I've been roasting with my cubing too much. So I don't know why I thought that was gonna fit 200 grams. Okay. We've got this roasting on the iPad. That's going off. I'm gonna heat this back up. Okay. Oh, let me go over the rules. um, so right now we're gonna do a low charge of 250. We charge temperatures around 150, 160. Very low, minimal fan, and then flat ROR. That's what we're gonna hope is gonna happen. We'll see how this method works out with the V2. It's worked out really well with the V1, but we'll see how the V2 plays out. And this is kind of set up as like a it's under the Skywalker BLE settings right now for V1, but it'll have its own settings later. Probably on the next update. And they'll also be adding on the next update the 1 kilogram roaster. I plan on doing a roasting series with that just to get better at it. Honestly, it roasts kind of like a V1 and a V2. Mostly a V. It feels like it roasts like a V1. It's just bigger batches. All right. So I'm gonna hit charge.
Set heater to 50%. Set fan speed to 10%. Set drum speed to 1%.
So here are all the auto control points. It lays them out based on the last roast that's similar to this, except the drum is different. Let me make sure I put the drum at the right setting. Yeah, good. The fan on a infrared roaster is
Turning
it
point
actually pulls heat away from the beans. So if you're roasting, when you get the higher fan, it kind of takes more, it draws the heat away from the beans because it's pulling away. Infrared radiation is kind of like heating the beans on the outside. A little bit of penetration is happening too, but the major thing with the fan is you want it to be pulling air away, pulling basically the heat away from the bean. And you can kind of see that too if you were to mess with the bean and mess with the fan. You can see if you increase the fan, the bean temperature kind of goes down. One of the biggest things too is the jaw takes all that smoke out of the chamber as well. I forgot to set this up. Okay, that should kind of work. Well, since it's auto roasting, I'm just gonna leave it like that. It's just with the smaller roasters, it's just the margin of error is a lot worse. Because if you mess up, you're really gonna feel that in like your 250 grams of beans or 115 grams of beans or 150 grams of beans.
set heater
So I'm just kind of following what's going on with the curve, seeing what it does. Little green still. A lot harder to get beans on. Still a bit green. That's kind of the weird thing is when you roast 250 grams, I don't think you get the best bean reading, temperature readings. There it is, yellow. Nice. I'm glad that it helped you out a little bit. I like my M1 Lite. I really do. I'm really happy that they decided to do price drops on it. The M1 was just because I have the M1 now because I got it cheaper than the M1 Lite somehow. And honestly, they're the same roaster, just with less panels, and then a different drum motor is the biggest, maybe the biggest concern. We'll see. We'll see how long this drum motor lasts. That's the only thing I could really think that is the biggest issue of the M1 Lite. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do drum 80. That's kind of what happens when you have the drum increase. You have this big old ROR change. It's actually lowering the temperature a little bit, moving the beans around more. So when it turns the drum on right now, it just sets it to the slowest setting when you hit drum. For the current firmware, how it's set up now, it should improve on the next one. And there goes back the ROR. I kind of messed it up a little bit by increasing the drum speed. So I think it's the default setting when you just start a roast, they'll set it to 50. I wonder if I can add automations to do serial commands. I'll have to ask Will about that. But you could definitely tell when the drum turns on to a faster speed that it does decrease the overall bean temperature. But I heard the first crack. Nope, just a little pop. I guess we're still waiting. Oh. Oh, there it is. First crack.
Seconds to reach target drop temperature.
I'm gonna drop it here.
Cooling flow. Turn on cooling fan. Turn off heater.
Keep it at a light roast. So, we look at like Rubase and we look at all the other radiant heat roasters. Well, mostly Rubase. So the only ones who really talk about it. But Rubase is big on the radiant heat and how it affects the beans. What they gathered is like, since penetration occurs, I think there's still debate on whether the penetration is affecting the roast as much as we think it is. But Rubase likes to market that, of course, because that's their bread and butter. So what their idea of what getting a really good light roast is kind of not extending first crack past a minute 30, and actually before a minute is kind of like their big thing. So in that sense, it's kind of just saying like they really think that the penetration is getting really down and deep, able to get it to roast a little bit more evenly faster than it would be convection, because I guess convection doesn't have that property like radiant heat does, where it absorbs down a certain amount of millimeters. So their thing is like if it's roasting, it gets to the center faster, and your roast is will get to, you know, a lighter roast faster than a convection heat roaster. But another big thing they never talk about, which I think could be an issue too, is that the outside of the beans with a radiant heat roaster does get darker than convection. But then when you grind it up and you compare the Agtron against each other, you can have pretty much very similar Agtron scores. So they don't talk a lot about that. I still think there's a little bit more unevenness when it comes to radiant heat roasters. And it's just hard to control anything that has like a random value of penetration. And you can't really calculate, well, I guess you could calculate emissivity, but Not when you have like a budget. You don't have all those fun, fine, fancy tools that they have. Oh, through, yeah, let's go check that out. We'll check that feature out too, because I do this all the time now. So with high beam, let me turn my camera off. It does have this great feature. I hope he put it on the iPad one, but let me see if it is. All right, so we'll complete the log. I put 250. I'll get the roast weight when I'm done. Let's see, and you can make it look nicer if you want to. Label designer, and then bam, there's a QR code if you wanted to have each bag do it. So what I usually do is I'll get all this information in 7-point development time, then I'll try printing it out. I hope it prints. I don't know if I added that printer on here. It's gonna, oh shoot, it worked. Okay. Let me see if this works. Hey. Kind of works. Still gotta work on it. It still prints it out by 4x6. So let's go back to my camera. So that's still a work in progress. That might be more of my printer, but here's the QR code that I usually slap on a bag, and then all the information. I'm still trying to figure out how I could get it better, to read a little bit better and not print it out in 4x6. See if I can do 4x3. See if that works. It's probably still going to print it in 4x6. Or it might not print it at all. I could also just save this and print it out the way I wanted to later, but Rolo. Still the same thing. So that's another thing I'm working in progress. But yeah, and then you would just use this. If you wanted to use that same profile, then you would just use a QR code and Highbeam will pull it up. So that's all cool. I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna bag this up. Interesting. That was one that came out really light. I gotta figure out what happened to that one. There we go. I got my bag sealer in the back. That was not the cleanest bag burn. Whoops. Oh well. I'll fix that later. But then, yeah, and I'll just slap a label on it. I'm not selling these. These are just for my personal testing. But once I get better labels, I'll... If I decide to... If I want to get into selling beans, which I really don't want to. Oh, shit. Because it's kind of complicated. A little bit more. Oh, that was a better burn. Good. All right. So I'll probably file this, wait for a few weeks, and then I'll try it. All right. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to keep it simple and short. Gotcha. Hour, 12 minutes. I wanted to do 45 minutes, but I had some issues. You get a lot of orders at Christmas. I gotta get better at trying to maybe sell my beans. I'm always just like, here, try it out. My wife is like, we spent how much money on beans? We're better off just going to Starbucks. Actually, she can't say that anymore because I convinced her. She has no longer the taste for Starbucks, which I find awesome. All taste awful to her. I'm like, thank you, I destroyed you. It would be great if coffee suppliers offered an area where buyers could go back and enter their rating. I know that would be nice, but gosh. But there's always those people that ruin it. Yeah, there's a lot of people that would ruin that system really quick, and just the unfortunate nature of everything. All right, so that's a good little roast with here. Maybe I'll take a few days. Yeah, if I don't have that many things going on tomorrow, I might take some time and try to get my my code up on, or the community code that we use for the Delta, onto the M1, so we're able to use the ESP32 on there. It's just the few things are different. This has like a CH340 driver that you connect to the computer, and that's the serial like translator or whatever. And then I think the Kaleido has a fancier one, the CP210X, and you have to just use different drivers to connect, but no need to care about that. There's a bunch of nerd stuff. But yeah, I have like a whole, I gotta put out that command list. I don't know where to put it, but it's just all the command lists that you, if you want to do a custom setup, you would able to like send these commands, and they're all ASCII commands to control the Kaleido M1 Lite. Yeah, and you could do like cool term and then send like custom like you said, the codes to do it customized way of controlling it. Oh, I keep disconnecting too. My internet's being down. Yeah, but I'll be back maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But I'm gonna try working on that code maybe tonight and see how that goes. I gotta check if it's the same kind of code in the old M2. I have an old M2. I don't use it that often because I have to use a tablet, and the code for getting on Artisan is kind of weird. I do want to get it on High Beam eventually, but I don't know. My V1 and V2 roasts have been fine. But yeah. Anyways, look out for some more videos. I'll try to see what I could do about getting that iPad code out for High Beam for for the Kaleidos and see how I could get that implemented on the next update. Anyways, thanks for joining.